actually a personal banker with Wells Fargo. I've been there going on 7 years. I actually graduated here 4 years ago from Lamar. Seems like forever. But I'm really glad you guys took the time out to come talk to us today, or listen to us at least. We really hope that we can help you and answer as many questions as we can about credit.
Hi, my name is Kayla Cooper. I'm also a personal banker. I've been with the company for 3 years. I'm currently studying at Lamar, and I'll be graduating in December. So I'm a communications major, and so again, thank you guys for coming, and we look forward to sharing the information with you.
All right, first things first, credit. Does everybody kind of have an idea of what exactly that is? The reason I ask is we actually have quite a bit of students that come in to the branch. Some of them are very knowledgeable in what credit is, however, some aren't. So I'm hoping today, after this presentation, you'll have an idea of what exactly it is and the responsible way for using, whether it's credit cards, student loans, lines of credit, anything like that to help you jumpstart your credit here. All right, how did you use that card? Believe it or not, $2,800 for pizza and coffee in 1 year is actually not surprising when it comes to looking at a college card. I can tell you from a personal example, we had a student that came in. They were under the impression that whatever they put on the card, they thought it was a gift from Lamar University. Maxed out the entire card. It was a big, big issue. Guys, not only are you, pay back what's on the card, but you're also going to be using interest on there. A lot of our cards, introductory rates are actually 0% for the first 12 months. That actually works out really well, say if you're trying to put books on there, supplies, even if it's just, sometimes you might want to go shopping, treat yourself, study hard, work hard, might want to do that. Just keep in mind though, there is interest that is tacked on to those purchases every time you use it. So be diligent with it. But like I said, $2,800 for pizza and coffee, it's very, very, it's very common with a lot of college cards.
So an important thing that she is saying is whenever you get any type of credit product, you're agreeing to borrow this money and just acknowledging that you will agree to pay it back over time. Now, some things that we do have to offer are interest-free credit cards for a period of time. So with that, definitely take advantage of that. Sometimes it's 12 months or 15 months or things like that. But also, if you do charge something and you pay your balance off in full each month, you won't have any interest to carry over in the next month. So just keep that in mind as well.
Any questions so far? Good. All right, this next slide kind of goes over dollar amount versus, in this case, lattes, 100 pizzas a year. At $15, it's, $1,500 on your card. Now, this is just kind of a ballpark on the interest rate. It could be 12% interest with the minimum payment. For those of you that have credit cards and are kind of familiar with how that works, minimum payments is just an amount that you have to pay back the bank or whoever it is the lender is to get your card within good standing. A lot of times, and again, I run into people that sometimes the minimum payment is all you can do at that time. Totally understand. Just keep in mind, if you make that minimum payment, you're just
Paying on interest.
You're just paying on interest, exactly. If you can, try to put back more on that card as much as possible. If you maybe put back $100, odds are your minimum payment will probably be anywhere between $10, $15. If possible, try to pay back as much as you can, if not more. I know $100 seems pretty low right now, but you'd be surprised. You keep adding that balance on there, the interest keeps accruing. It's really going to start to affect you in the future.
Any questions so far about that, how that works? I know the numbers and the figures can be kind of high, but if y'all need a further breakdown, just let us know and we'll go more in depth.
All right. Your credit basics. Exactly what is credit? Why should you care, and how do you get it? Credit is exactly what Kayla was explaining earlier. It's money that is lent to you either from a bank institution, credit union, anything like that. Everyone's credit does vary. I know a lot of it is based on your employment. If you have already previously had credit, some students have the little department store cards like Dillard's, anything like that. That kind of jumpstarts you as far as what your eligibility is for your credit. So that number does vary. Everyone again is very different. I've seen some college students where they're approved at 500, some are close to 2,000. Again, it just varies on your employment and how much you're bringing home monthly.
Why should you care? Very important. A lot of times your credit score will determine whether or not you get a job or if you get the house that you're looking for. A lot of employees nowadays will actually look at your credit score because they want to see if you're credible. Basically, if you borrow money, you agree to pay it back, are you going to pay it back on time or even pay it back at all? And so they look at that and judge kind of like your morals and values about how you would do things on the job as well. The better your credit score is, the lower your interest rate will be, or the lower your payments will be. So if you have a higher credit score, you may have a lower car note or a lower mortgage payment or anything like that. So it's definitely beneficial to establish the credit because they want to see your history of payments. So even if you're only using a credit card just for your phone bill or keeping gas in your car, you're already doing those things anyway, so you might as well get credit for those things. And so they just want to say, okay, well, she borrowed this much, or he borrowed this much, and he said he was going to pay it back by the first of the month. Always pay it back on time or early. Pay back more than what you can. The $50 is like a common minimum payment. If you can do 75 or the balance in full, it looks excellent, and it also increases your score. So definitely just keep that in mind.
And also, going under why should I care, it's also a great product to have for emergencies. You never know what could happen. Even if it's not school related, say you're going home to visit your family or vacationing or something and you run into a bind. That's actually very common, it happens. You will be so happy that you have a credit card to at least get you by until you can make it to the bank, credit union, wherever it is that your money is at. So again, I mean, it is good just to have for emergencies, but also like Kayla was explaining, it's a good way to also start building up that credit. Mortgage, car loans, everything like that, it'll really pay off when you have this card a couple of years. And how do you get it? It's extremely simple. At Wells Fargo, we have the actual college cashback card. Now that card is actually pretty cool. I had that card when I was here at Lamar. It's a rewards card. So you are actually rewarding yourself with one of the cards there. My favorite was actually the cash increments. That's usually the most popular out of everything. There's plenty of other options though. You can do restaurant, gift cards, anything like that. There's a lot of things you can do with this card. The easiest way for our cards is you can either come see one of us at locations. We have about 5 here in Beaumont. You can go online. There's a lot of options. You can even call our 1-800 number 24 hours a day. They can take care of that as well. You had a question over here.
I'm curious. As far as your credit score and having a credit card, I'll like watch my credit score. Like I have it's like a FICO score where you can watch it. Mm-hmm. And on there, like my credit score, I know it fluctuates, but there's been times like where I will have, a pretty high balance on my credit card, and my credit score, will go up. And then you would think if I pay a big chunk, like if I pay $1,000 off my credit card, I figured that would be a good thing, but I noticed my credit score went down when I paid a big chunk of money.
Let me ask you something. When you say you're applying $1,000, are you paying off the entire balance, or are you leaving something on there?
I want to say I've paid off like the entire balance except for just a little.
That's another misconception with the credit cards. The whole idea is you are demonstrating revolving credit because again, this credit card, actually all credit cards, they're a revolving line of interest, fluctuating line of interest is how we call it in the banking terms. Every time that your credit is reported, whether that's 30 days, 60 days, every credit lender is different. It takes into account how much you're paying versus what your balance is. What I suggest to all of the students and even some of the adults that we have, you at least you at least want to keep about maybe a couple $100 balance on there. Now again, that's depending on what your credit limit is on that card.
Yeah.
So we'll say, for instance, yours is $1,000. My suggestion to you is maybe just leave $100 on that card and then maybe pay off the rest.
Yeah.
Because you do have to have that revolving balance to be reported with the credit bureaus.
Yeah, my next question was going to ask, like, what's a good percentage? Because some people say to use 50%, and then other people say only leave 30%. So,
I've heard between.
I've heard,
50.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's
I've
like
heard
about that
actually
range.
both. I'll tell you what my manager personally tells me, it's usually about 30%. And again, that's what you feel, comfortable
so
doing.
leave 30% left, or
Only
to
use about
Only
30%.
use about 30% of that credit limit, because you don't want to max out your card.
Yeah.
That's also another misconception with these cards. You really, really do not want to max them out. You don't want to go over the limit. Just try to keep it within that limit.
So you're saying whatever your limit is, and you don't have any expenses that month that you were thinking about using your card on, figure something out for your credit score. Like it's best for your credit score to use that card at some point.
Yes.
You want something to report for you.
Exactly,
just
because
activity.
again, what is, the point of holding on to the card when the overall idea is trying to improve your credit or establish credit? You need to actually show that you're using the card. So, and I'm not saying go crazy, just maybe something small, whatever that may be, and just, again, you want to leave a small balance on that card, just to revolve around and also to show on your credit reports.
Also, and just be mindful of your limit. So if you have $1,000 limit, like we were saying earlier, stay between the 30 and 50% mark. If you go higher than that, anywhere like 800, 900, even if you pay that balance off later on in the month, they're still going to show how you use the card. And using too much of the card will bring your score down, actually. So just, be mindful of that. Keep a lower balance if you can, and pay it off in full if you can, so you don't have the interest carrying over.
Credit card realities. I know we kind of hit on this earlier. It's a loan. I can't stress that enough. It is a loan. Again, we have so many people that come in and they thought it was a gift from Lamar. It turned into a huge fiasco. It's a loan, guys. You have to pay it back. That's kind of the way the credit card works. Your limits, again, that's what we were talking about as far as don't go over your limit. If that does happen, your interest rate will double over that. So just be very, very mindful. Whatever you put on the card, just kind of have, maybe a backup plan in your mind, okay, well, I get paid on this Friday or next Wednesday, somewhere around there, just so you have an idea of when you might be able to pay that back.
Okay. I just want to talk a little bit about the importance of due dates as well. So it's not like, just face-to-face with your homegirl or your homeboy. If you say you're going to pay them on the 5th, you can't just say, hey, I get paid on the 10th. Can I give you the money then? Of course, they're going to accept that money then, but you're going to be penalized for it. So if you say you're going to pay on the 5th of every month, make sure it's on the 5th or always earlier than that, because they're going to take the money, but still it's going to affect your score, and you'll also have interest carrying on and late fees and all of that. It gets nasty after the late payments. So if you can, just always pay earlier on time.
And the rewards, again, what I touched on earlier, we have a number of things that you can use your reward points for. Me, again, personally, I like the cash ones. I actually just cashed mine in to use the hotel points for it, for my friend's wedding. But there's a lot of things that you can do. You can also personalize your card. Kind of gives you your own unique take on what you want the card to look like. And also, it's actually really good for security. Put maybe a picture of yourselves, your family, friends, whatever you want to do on there. But it does kind of give you that added security in case, you misplace your card or your card is accidentally stolen.
You said that you can, for rewards, once you get a certain amount of points, you get the cash or whatever, but, what's, a good number that you go and do that at? Because I have rewards, but I've never known.
500, me
Oh,
personally. The only reason I know that is I have a 3-year-old, and I use it for Toys R Us.
Okay.
But yeah, the $500 points does get you at least a $50 gift card. And we have all kinds of things, shopping, restaurants, all kinds of stuff that you can do. Oh, wow.
Well, I didn't know what to do.
You can get quite a bit then with that.
Yes, you
Yeah,
can.
okay, well, good to know.
Good, see.
You can also go to wellsfargo.com. If you toggle over credit cards, you'll see rewards, and you can browse through the catalog. And if you're more comfortable just speaking to a live rep, they'll go through and say, hey, do you want the money? Or just show you what gift cards are offered, Apple products, and things like that. So that's just for you to have a visual of that.
Any questions so far? Good. All right. This next slide I think is probably one of the most important ones. Select your card by cost. What exactly that means is really, say you were in the office with one of us, don't be afraid to ask questions because again, this is what you're paying on. You know, whether that's fees, some people call them hidden fees. They're just fees that may not be the most, popular ones. First off, all of our cards do not have annual rate on there. I'm sorry, an annual payment. The only ones that we have is a secured card. Again, that's a collateral-based card. That card is mainly for individuals that are trying to repair bad credit or trying to establish credit, maybe that didn't start out so well. But again, I mean, that's one of the lower cards, but we do the college card that we're talking about today. Just be very mindful with it. There's a little thing called cash advances. I don't know if anyone knows what that is. That is what I like to call as an emergency only. If you are in a bind, you can always borrow cash, actual cash from your credit card. Again, emergencies only. I can't stress that enough.
Not shopping.
Right.
Not going to treat your friend.
Right, because your interest rate is
Super high.
super high with that. And that's just not with Wells Fargo. That's actually with any major credit card. Because you're taking cash off the card. Just be very mindful with that. Your rate increases, payment cycles change. There's a lot of things that happen with that. But again, I mean, we understand life happens. So if you need to, just be very cautious with that and just realize that your payment is going to go up a little bit with that.
So definitely assess exactly what the emergency is that you're wanting to use your cash advance for, because a lot of times they'll just let you slide your credit card versus having to do the cash for it. So if that's an option, definitely take it. I've seen a few people do cash advances just to get the cash to make the payment on the credit card. That will protect your score and cover your minimum payment for the month, but you end up paying so much more money rather in interest and everything like that. So you're just adding on extra money and you don't even really see it. So if you can avoid doing that, definitely do so and just use it for emergencies, truly emergencies.
Do any of you that, well, I'm sure, I know you do, credit cards, do any of you guys have those in here right now? Okay. Let me ask you
That's
something.
a nice amount. Y'all should know this already, right?
Let me ask you something. Do you guys know what your interest rate is?
I just got it last week.
So
Straight up,
you
just
knew
got
something.
one, then I needed one.
Oh, good. So you're just now establishing yours.
Yeah, like I just got gas last week and that's it.
That's really good.
that's
That's
awesome.
all you needed for really. That's good.
The reason I asked that, just do a little bit of homework. See what you're actually, again, a lot of cards have the introductory rates. I know for a fact ours does. But just kind of do some homework, Look and see what happens. What is your interest rate? What is your late payment? What happens if you need to borrow cash? All that information you really, really want to know. Just to be cautious about all that.
I was just going to say, I have a Walmart card, and the interest rate is extremely high. It's 26%. So, yeah. So it's like I have to pay it. Like I try to pay my balance before the interest rate catches up, but I still have to leave some on there because, like I told you, when I pay off like all the amount, my credit score goes down for some reason. Versus if I have it like,
Well, another thing, and this, I don't know how you feel about this, we do what's called balance transfers as well. If, or anyone in here that has a credit card with a, higher balance or the interest rate is 26%, you might want to think about maybe trying to look into doing a balance transfer. Our cards, that's exactly what we do. Say your balance is $1,000 that you owe Walmart, and you get approved with us for $4,000. But remember, like I said, there is no interest for the first 12 months. So you could move all of that over to this new card at no expense and pay for it and actually pay $1,000. not $1,000 plus 26%.
Right.
So just something to think about. I know it sounds a little bit, mind-blowing, but it's actually incredibly easy. We could walk you through it if you wanted to, but just something to think about for those of you that have higher interest rates on your credit cards.
How long have you had that card though?
A year.
Oh, okay, definitely consider doing that then. Just for reference, if y'all didn't know, it takes about a solid 6 months to actually establish your score, with just consistent payments each month for it to report to all 3 of the credit bureaus and to get you an actual FICO score. So you're fresh with yours. If you just did yours last week, you got 6 months before you get your score. So don't jump the gun and try to check your score, in 3 months, because it won't report yet for you. So, yes,
Another question, I'm so sorry. Okay, I got approved for like a department store credit card, and I mean, I have a few credit cards, but one of them that I do have, I've never even used before. So, and I know on like the FICO score, it says that like it'll say like reasons why your credit score might be low, and I mean mine's not low, but it'll say like why it's not.
What's
perfect,
not making it go?
Yeah,
rise.
and it said that one is like inactivity, and so I didn't know if that card would be hurting me, and if I should
It
cancel
is.
it.
You actually don't want to cancel cards. You don't want to close them. That actually hurts your credit score more than actually missing a payment, believe it or not. Again, just be mindful with the cards you have. It's funny that you say that because when I was in school, I decided to get like a Dillard's card, and that worked out great. It's a learning lesson, but yeah, you might want to just put something small on there. Just with every credit product you have to use something, at least something small on that credit card. But again, just think of it this way: you're either rewarding yourself, or at the end of the day, you're helping to get your credit score up.
So once you go and sign up for a credit card, you got to use it, or
Exactly.
right, and just make sure it's still active as well. I know when I used to work for Dillard's, we would do the credit cards, and I would have a lot of customers not use the card, and then a year later they would come in. Oh, it
So-
still will show that you did the application?
Yeah, no, it's in the system. I can access the account, but I've never actually activated the card.
Right.
So
That's still going to report though, with the initial application and going by the signature and the date that you applied. So just be mindful of that. But in the event that you did open it and never used it, if y'all have any open credit lines that you're not using, just be mindful and make sure it's still active. I know with Dillard's, I've seen them go in and actually close it out because of the inactivity, and that will also hurt your score, and that's not even you probably not even knowing about it. So be mindful of that as well.
I have a question regarding balance transfer.
Yes.
For example, I have a 5 card, okay?
Okay.
Each card I owe about a couple of thousand. Okay, now I have Citi card, which is 18 months 0 interest, 25,000 limit. Now if I consolidate all my bill on one card, you don't think that will hurt my credit? Because a couple of other cards I'm using 30%, now it's going to be on one card, like using 80% limit.
No, it's not really gonna affect it. You're still just using the card and you're keeping it active and open still, but just paying it off. It'll keep your score in good standings.
And also, it reports as a balance transfer.
Yeah,
It's a little bit different than, say, for instance, you're paying off the card and there's absolutely no balance. This is a little bit different. Balance transfers, it doesn't actually like bring down your score, if that's what your question is. It's just literally you just moving it over to a different
Because I
card.
believe it's 30% score effect with how much balance you have on your card. And then,
Right,
that's
they
why
look at
I was-
that. Yes, sir. So definitely consider that if you want to do that. Come see me.
For me.
And so also with the balance transfer, I know ours, it's not completely free. I didn't want to disclose that. It's 3% interest. Is that right? 3% balance transfer rate. So which is still saving you a lot of money versus keeping something that has like 26 to 30%.
And this is just kind of idea as far as individuals that either pay the minimum payment or try to put a little bit more on there. Card balance $1,000, your interest rate at 14% with just the minimum payment of $25 only. If that's what you're only doing once a month, your interest is $669.96. And let's remember, your card actually has a balance of $1,000. So that kind of puts it in more of a visual of, what exactly You know, how, if you could just maybe make a double payment or more on there, if you look at the bottom, your interest rate, again, is at 8% with the $25 at $289.93. So it does vary just by making a couple of extra payments once a month. All right. Another big thing, cost of a minimum payment. You just have to have something. In this case, we're going to talk about a $1,500 computer. Again, your card purchase is at $1,500, 14.7 on the APR. Your minimum payment is $40. That right there, it shows at 51 months at $521, around $40. If you just, again, double that payment to maybe $80, just look at the difference in comparison as far as the amounts go. It really, really does help you to try to at least make a double payment if you can. Any questions on that? All right, and what me and Kayla were talking about earlier, the cost of cash advances. Say you want to advance $1,000 off of a $1,500 credit card limit. Notice how the APR jumps up to 24%. 5% of the amount of the borrowed, minimum payment is $35. Everything goes up a little bit when it comes to those cash advances. Again, I mean, this is kind of, this is an easy way to put it. Some people, believe it or not, that's how they operate, is doing cash advances off their cards. You see it all the time. So just be very mindful with that. Again, maybe just for emergencies if you have to. Pretty much covered that. All right, the credit card statement. You're going to get this. Every credit card revolves around 30 days. Whether that's on the mail, in the mail, online, whatever you prefer to get your statements on. It will be broken down into exactly what's on the screen. Your APR will vary. It's never going to be the same. Again, because it's a fluctuating line of interest. Based on your balance of the card, usage of the card, if you've done cash advances, anything like that, that will adjust on there. So that will never really be the same. It'll show your available credit, your credit line, your minimum monthly payment, the outstanding balance, and your payment due date. Very self-explanatory. Everything is on there. A little thing that I wanted to bring up, just because I noticed a lot of customers seem to think this. If you know you put $1,000 on your credit card, say last week, if you have the funds to pay it back right now, by all means go for it. You don't have to wait till that statement comes out for you to pay the bill. Just the way I see it, if you have the extra funds that are there, why not just pay your card if you know you can or remember to? Just a lot of customers think that they have to pay it either on that date or as soon as they get their statement, and that's not necessarily true.
Another good thing I want to recommend doing is setting up automatic payments. If you have a checking account anywhere, or if you don't, come open one up with us. We like to have those with the credit card. So automatic payments are going to secure that your payment is done on time, and it shows consistency in your history. So if they're reviewing the record of your history payments, they'll see the same time every month. And definitely, if it's coming out of that account, the funds are there. Just have it going right out there, and it's just pretty much protecting your score for you.
Guys have any questions? All right, and the fun part, your credit score. Credit report, credit score, why should you care? Because it is an absolute must. Nowadays, unfortunately, everything is right off of credit. Whether you want to buy a new car, brand new house, anything like that. I know college students, again, we see it all the time. After you guys graduate, maybe you want to settle down, meet someone, get married, anything like that. If you do not have the credit, it is going to take you a long, long time to help you to purchase a home or anything like that. It's just unfortunate because we see a lot of students, whether that's, they're buried in student debt anything like that. Just even with this simple card that we're talking about, the college cashback card, it is at least one way that you can start jump-starting your credit score.
Especially with buying a home, they definitely want to see your credit history with that and the length of time with that, because a home purchase is going to range from 15 years to 30 years. So they see that as a high risk. They're basically saying, if I'm going to finance this for you for this amount and for this long, what has this person been doing so far? So they're usually looking for about 18 months minimum of credit history with that. So now is a really good time for you to start establishing that credit now. So once you are, you've graduated and things like that, you're on your way, and they can see, okay, she's been doing this for 2 years, 3 years, she's good to go. They also look at your open trade line. So if you can balance more than one open trade line, and when I say open trade line, I'm just saying like a credit card or an auto payment or a rent-to-own furniture, anything that's reporting for you for the payments that you're making each month. If you can do 2 to 3 of those and juggle those every month and do on time and do good with that, that's what they're looking for.
And also, just establishing credit now while you're in school, it also helps you. A lot of people, if you don't have the credit, you run the risk of having to say you're doing a car. You have to put down a higher down payment if it's required. Why? Because you don't have the credit that's reported. So they need to protect themselves just as much as they're trying to protect you. So again, it's very beneficial to everyone to try to at least establish credit because it will help you.
Okay, so I have a car note, but when I bought my car, I didn't have a line of credit at all, so my mom had to co-sign with me. Is that building my credit at all? or
Yes,
just her?
my mom did the same thing. My first car was a Honda Civic, and it was right after I graduated from high school. Yes, that's an excellent way. That's actually the most, if not popular way, a lot of people get it going is just by being a co-signer. Usually a car is the most popular one.
Did y'all have any other questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Auto inquiry, hard inquiry, how much is score is that?
It varies. We don't even know the percentage that it drops or the number.
Yeah.
That it's
A
like
lot
every
of-
lender is different.
Right. Another thing about that is the hard inquiries. Let's use an example. Say that you were to come inside Wells Fargo today and you were declined for an auto loan. The hard inquiries is not going to hurt you if it's just that one time. Hard inquiries can be anywhere between 6-7 times within a 3-month span. Usually the easiest way to do that is by shopping for a car. When you're with that salesperson, they want to get your business so bad that they will ask you, well, hey, let's see what we can do to find you the best deal. How do you think they're doing that? They are running your credit through every possible bank, lender, anything like that to get you the best score. Sometimes that can be 12, 15 lenders. So that will help you too. So just be a little bit mindful with that. I just know shopping for cars, that's usually the most popular one when pulling a credit all at the same time.
So let me ask you that, for example, shopping house, a car, certain term like 30 day or a certain month, like couple of inquiry for the same kind of similar like purchase mortgage, shopping mortgage is all considered to one inquiry, hard inquiry or multiple inquiry?
It falls under the same.
I think it'd be under the same. It just depends on how close together you're doing all of this.
Right.
So if you're shopping for a car and you go to Mike Smith or somewhere locally around here, just be careful because they will pull your credit multiple times. And if you go to another dealership, if you tell them, okay, well, let's see what we can do. Again, they're going to pull your credit again to see what kind of price that they can get you.
So in a certain day like 30 day month or month? 15
Usually
or-
within 30 days. That's what I've seen on some of the decline reasons on our credit card. Usually it's about 30 days.
So the hard inquiries are really going to be affected. That's when you go to like a department store, you get approved at Dillard's, and then you get happy and then want to go to New York and Company and Kohl's and get credit cards from all of them. So that's what's going to really hit the score like that. So if you can space it out about 6 months each, if you get a minimum of that.
All right, and this is just touching on credit score counts. We're going to go ahead and use a card for this one. Cost of the car, $15,000. Your down payment, $1,000. Finance for 36 months. This one right here, if you look, there's two different
Credit scores.
The credit scores, yes. Buyer 1 has a 590, buyer 2, 740. Excellent. If you notice the difference on there, the APR, significant difference between buyer 1 and buyer 2, the monthly loan payment, interest, everything is just much lower for buyer two. Why? Because they have the credit there to back it up. I think this is an excellent slide because it really puts into numerical terms how it can affect you just by having good credit, or at least being proactive in trying to establish your credit. Questions? All right. A lot of people ask, how can I pull my credit report? At Wells Fargo, we have what's called our Identity Protection Program. It monitors your credit as well as your open account, and at the same time, you have access to your credit report 24 hours a day, anytime that you want. You also get alerts in the mail, whatever you want to do to stay on top of that report. But at least, even if you're not with Wells Fargo, which I hope we can change, you can always, access it through one of the sites. But with ours, we just really like to say that you just really need to look over it. One good example I can give, I had a customer, 22 years old. He was just trying to get into, I want to say it was LIT. I don't quite remember. We couldn't even get him approved to open an account. Extremely rare. Don't know what happened. When we pulled the credit report, he had his, I don't know how this happened. I think his social was stolen. Somebody had financed a home in his name when he was, according to the report, 4 years old. So it happens. And he would have never known that had he not came in the bank, and we couldn't even get him approved for an account. So it does happen. A lot of people think, well, I've never even applied for a credit card, so there's nothing on my credit report. That's not true. You never know what could happen. Your social, believe it or not, if somebody wants to find it, they'll find it. So it's just very, very important to always look at your report, make sure there's no errors, anything like that. You had a question?
I was just curious, is it called Identity 365?
Ours is just identity theft protection, the way it's labeled.
Because I used a software or program, and it was Identity 365, and it was really good. Like, it was very good. It was just a free trial, but like they had a lot of detailed information that I didn't know. Versus what I'm looking at now is just like, through one of my credit cards, they have like the FICO score on
Right.
there. But
Are you talking about the one from Walmart, the one that you have? That might just be their provider then.
yeah.
Because I know.
But the Identity 365 was through a different credit card. They asked me like to do a free trial, and I tried that, and it was really good. So I didn't know if it was the same thing you tried.
No, ours, we have two different programs. You can either choose, I think it's Enhanced, Identity Theft Protection, Enhanced, and then there's one that's just the regular Identity Theft. A little bit of a price difference. They both have their perks with that. But either way, it's just good just to look over your report. Because again, you never know what could be on there that could be hurting you.
It's just really good to have. With monitoring your score, and definitely preventing fraud activity and things like that, because it gives you alerts, lets you know when any kind of inquiry is done or application is ran. You get the email or the text alerts, whichever one you prefer, and just so you can always be mindful of what's on there. And then also, even if you don't have credit established and you may have a phone bill in your name, definitely go ahead and get a report just so you'll make sure that's the only thing that's on there. And if you need to do a dispute or anything like that, we can always help you with that as well.
And speaking of disputes, that is one of the ways to fix it. If you see that there's an error, whether there is a credit card you never did, a home that was financed that you didn't do, anything like that, you can always fix it. So don't let that discourage you. Don't let that bring you down. The faster you do it, the faster you can get it resolved.
I'm so sorry. I have so many questions. I know I've been having credit cards for a few years, so I'm just curious. If you dispute a charge or you have fraud on your card and you dispute it and everything's successful, are you in trouble for that? Like, does it bring up your risk or anything like that?
No. Personal example. Last year, me and my husband, we took our son to Disney World. I get a call from Capital One saying that I made a $300 purchase in Brazil, which was clearly not right. It just took 2 weeks for that whole thing to come up, and it did not affect me one way or another. There was fees on there, but of course I got that resolved, but it won't hurt you as far as like.
I had a credit card stolen out of my car when I got an oil change, and they went and spent money and everything, and I had to dispute all the charges and like have like a lawsuit with it and stuff, and so I didn't know if that would hurt my score.
No, no,
my
no.
evaluation.
If you file a dispute the correct way, depending on, you know, what that credit card is asking you for, then no, it won't affect your
I
credit.
didn't know if it would like increase my risk or like the percent.
Because it's labeled as dispute. It's different if you just don't pay it or you know, something else happens. But if it's labeled as a dispute, it's a little bit different. All right, and kind of narrowing it down. Good credit is simple. Again, be mindful of what you spend. Just keep in mind, if you put $1,000 on there, you're gonna have to pay it back. So just always budget, kind of plan ahead, you know, what am I gonna do to pay this back? What am I gonna do to pay back on time? Just, again, stay below your credit line. Definitely don't wanna max out that card. That'll really, really hurt you, both with the credit score and also with your, you know, interest rate. It'll sky high.
And really just never take on more than what you can handle. So even if your card is approved for $8,000, that's not $8,000 that's free money for you to just go spend. You know, just remember you got to pay it back over time. But, and we're not trying to scare you. We don't want you to seem like credit cards are just horrible. I mean, like I said, they're absolutely wonderful for emergency situations, just making sure, showing that you're credible for making payments on time if you do that already. And so just use it wisely.
And this is kind of what we just touched on, as far as how am I going to pay this back. Again, ask yourself, can you really afford this right now? Is this something that's, you know, a huge must? You know, if you want to spend $8,000 on clothes, okay, just kind of be careful that you're going to have to pay that back. Cash advance, again, it's going to, you know, really, really increase your interest rate. So unless you have to do it, just stay away from that. Again, just for emergencies, but you know, it happens, it happens. I hate to see you take out $100 just because you maybe want to go shopping, movies, anything like that from the credit card. When really, I mean, you are just, that's going to turn into $200 just for that little date there. So, any questions? All right, identity theft, kind of touching on what you were talking about. Save your bills, receipts, your statements. You always want to, you know, try to look at that. All of this you can always access online too. I don't know about you, but I don't like getting statements with my social security number and my card number all there available for anyone to see that wants to go digging through the trash. You can get that online at any time. Shred all your documents. At the bank, we actually have several customers that actually come in and bring us their sensitive documents, whether that's a bank statement, credit card statement, because we actually have a shredder there. So just something to think about. You might want to ask, you know, if you're not with us already, talk to whoever it is that you bank with. Maybe possibly they can help you with that. Again, though, your IDs, social security number, your driver's license, student ID, just always be careful with that, because most of the time that will be on your statements. A lot of people just toss the statements to the side once they see their minimum payment. Be careful with that because you've got your information on there. It's actually more common than you think, just by people throwing out their stuff and somebody just landing in the wrong hands.
Also, has anyone seen the movie Identity Thief? Very good movie. I love it. It's so funny. But that's just another example. She called and asked the guy to verify his information, and he basically just gave it all to her. So be mindful of the things that you are displaying, like over the internet or over the phone and things like that. Research the company, find out if they're BBB accredited, or, you know, and if you can avoid giving your personal information, you know, if they're verifying it, they should already have it. So they should have like the last four or the middle two or things like that. So definitely avoid just giving out your personal information.
And also touching on that, just because this actually happened to one of my coworkers, one of the tellers I work with. Something as simple as giving the waitress or waiter your card so that they can process your payment at a restaurant. It's common. This particular instance, it's a local restaurant too. They took her information. A week later, her card was duplicated. And filing a claim and all that just because that person stole their card information. So again, just be extremely mindful. You can always view what your expenses are. Fastest way is online. You can also call too, but I do know the fastest way is looking online and looking at your expenses.
Adding to that, for example, I'm going to tell you that I'm not trying anything else. I had an account with Wells Fargo 7 years ago. If somebody pull all my money from my account, so I ended up close Wells Fargo account. And that time I filed a theft, and they put an extended protection alert on mine. How long did it stay?
The alert will probably still display, just showing that it did occur. Did you get your money back for that and do the full dispute and everything?
I did got my money back.
Okay. I'm like, oh, that's horrible. I'm sorry that happened.
But then I closed Wells Fargo account.
Usually that follows you, whether you decide to bring back your relationship with Wells Fargo or you go somewhere else. I have seen a couple customers where, same instance, they had fraud, whether that was like 5-6 years ago. They wanted to come back to Wells Fargo. When we have to run you through our system, check systems, we can see those alerts that were on there because those files actually never disappear. Once your social security number is documented with Wells Fargo, we're able to pull up everything that you ever had. Any other questions? Online scams. Oh my gosh, this happens all the time. Phishing, spoofing, fake emails, websites, pop-up windows. If it sounds too good to be true, enter your card number and we'll give you $12,000. It's not going to work. We see it all the time. People come in and they're like, oh, well, I got a $12,000 check. Why?
I don't know. They ready to get the money.
Common sense. If you know you don't deserve $12,000, it's probably not real. We had a lady. The customer. Well, I don't know exactly who it was. They called her and told her that she won some grand prize, and that they needed her social security number and her one good active card number. So she did it. 2 days later, she received what she thought was a valid cashier's check for $15,000, brought it into the bank, didn't work. And then a week later, she found out that her identity was stolen. So just be careful with that. I mean, I know probably some of you are laughing, thinking, oh, that couldn't, I mean, it happens all the time. And we just kind of have to fix it as best as we can. Nothing is fixable overnight. It does take a while. But again, I mean, a lot of this can be avoided if you just, just be careful with what you're doing, especially on the internet. Questions?
I just want to add, I know we spoke about the importance of establishing credit and how it works, but if you guys already have credit and it's not too great, another thing that we do is help you fix your credit. So if that's something that's important to you, come see us and we'll, just analyze what your starting score is and we can help you pick that up each month. So, like I said, don't be discouraged. A lot of people that have poor credit scores, they strike themselves out and they want to just leave it exactly where it is. Again, it's just a done deal. But like I said, we work with you. We're not one of those third-party companies that charge you $300 an hour to do it. We basically just say, hey, what's going on? What have you done? We analyze your behaviors and show you good behaviors to do and basically, show you over time we can help you get this up. Like she said, it's not an overnight process. And it does take time to do it, but it's basically just being consistent with it after that.
And at Wells Fargo, and again, we have all kinds of pamphlets. There's actually more in the box. That's exactly what we have. We have a department that is it's geared absolutely to college students. College cards, student loans, our college checking and savings accounts that we offer you guys. A lot of it is very, very simple and very easy for you to maintain. That's pretty much it.
And we have a few goodies up here, so we want to give them away. So I just want to ask a few questions, and if you have some questions you want to answer, we'd love to give these to you guys. The first question I have for you guys is, can who can give me 2 reasons as to why credit is important? Yes.
Well, because you need credit for everything nowadays. Car, house, even if you want to buy a washing machine, you need credit.
That's
You know, and if you have no credit, it's almost worse than having bad credit.
And you know, that's an excellent example. But another thing I like to share is we have some customers that are extremely wealthy. And, you know, okay, that'll help you out. Let's say, for instance, they wanted to buy a home. Well, your whole life, since you've had all this money, you've never had to use a credit card. What do you need a credit card for if you've got the money to pay for it? Home loan's a little bit different. Unless you can shell out $400,000 for a mortgage, odds are you're going to need a mortgage loan. The reason I bring this up is because we had a customer. He had, pretty good sized accounts. Problem is, and he was irate with Wells Fargo. I don't ever know what happened with him. He couldn't get approved for a loan. He never had credit. So just because you have a lot of money or you think you're good now by paying, whether it's your school or your books, supplies, anything like that, still never hurts to get a small credit card, just because at the end of the day, you always want to have something there just in case for the future.
Another question I have is who can give me an example of a score that is low numerical wise and a score that's high? Anybody? Yes, ma'am.
I guess for low, like a 400, and
Yes.
high, like a 760.
850.
Perfect.
Yes. Sounds good.
Because I have 870.
That's really good. You come see me whenever you bring it.
Cash advances. Do we do those or do we just save them for emergencies? Anyone? Perfect.
And who can tell me who the best bank in town is? This is the easy one.
Any credit union.
Oh, that is not correct, sir.
Way wrong.
Anybody know?
Wells Fargo.
Wells Fargo.
Yes! We give you 2, girl.
And also the cool thing about us, we're open all the time. We even are there on holidays when people think we should be off. We're there. We were there on President's Day. But yeah, our hours are very, very easy for you guys. The online banking, 24 hours a day, no fee at all for it. Phone bank, everything there is for you. We're one of the biggest banks in the world. We have pretty much everything that you guys can do or need for your future or right now.
Right, and so we just highlighted on credit, but we are here for you in basically every aspect of life. You want to do checking, establish savings plans and things like that. We can help you budget for that. We are the #1 lender in America when it comes to mortgages, so if you're trying to get a home, we can definitely get you into a house. We help you establish retirement plans as well. So if your company doesn't offer one, we can definitely get you into one. And then we have you protected all the way around, whether it's homeowners, renter's insurance, life insurance. We even have pet insurance. So Wells Fargo really wants to be your relationship bank.
Ma'am, Wells Fargo is going to sell the loan, home loan, or they're going to be direct lender and be keeping loan?
No, I really keep an eye.
For Wells Fargo? Oh,
yeah.
no. It's through Wells Fargo Home
Yeah.
Mortgage. That's actually through Wells Fargo.
Yes, sir.
Another thing, I don't know how many of you guys are interested, or looks like you guys are anxious to leave. We do have the capabilities of actually sitting down with you right now and enrolling you in our checking programs that we have for students, whether that be the checking packages, which is a checking and savings account, or information about a credit card. We can even maybe book an appointment. I know you guys have classes and stuff. We can do that as well. So we really hope to try to talk to you on more of a personal basis, really get to know you and help you. That's me and Kayla's job.